Winning. I've outsmarted you on a number of levels. Beta. Well, actually, King's not. Beta.
That was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck.
Keep your mouth shut. I'm going to go in there and slap your face.
You know, we're going to rise like the Phoenix. And
Get in my limousine. Ride on 85. Get in my Learjet. Woo!
Welcome to the Asterisk Conclusion Podcast. You got me, the king himself. I'm joined here by the Grizz, the great Grizz. How are you doing today?
Doing good. I mean, it's February and it feels like summer.
Tell me about
global
that.
warming.
That's right, dude. The ladies were wearing a lot less today. I was very happy.
That's right. I'm sure the commissioner's looking.
That's right. Eyes on the prize, dude. Well,
so it's been a while since we talked about stuff, and we talked about topics, and we need to really get into summarize the year and put everything together. And like you said, we need to break down our league champion. Who's that?
Well, shocking the world this year, Dr. Drill, unbelievable. I think some applause are needed for Drill. He finally has broken through.
Woo!
He's finally broken through, man. Got himself a ring on the Ashland Cup. It's quite impressive that he was able to do that.
Yeah, and we talked about his team a little bit, and it wasn't all fine and dandy. He made a trade, but his big three, and my dad even said it last year, all you really do need is three absolute studs. And he had a big power three that was just too big to contend with. And correct me if I'm wrong, I would bet you money on average those three guys put up 70, 80 points every week minimum.
Oh, easy. I mean, well, let's just take a look. I mean, like starting off, he drafted Justin Jefferson. He drafted him at the 6th pick overall.
That's probably the best player, top 3 player in all of fantasy or all of football. I mean, any skill position, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receiver. He's better than Chase, I even think, but he is uncoverable.
Oh, he was a dominant force this year. And I look at like the players taken before Justin Jefferson. I really, maybe like with the exception of Derrick Henry, I really don't have an argument with like any of the other players taken before him. So I felt Drill got him like where he was supposed to and didn't overthink it and just took it.
Well, he won't go there next year.
No, he's not getting past me. That's for sure. But what really was surprising and where I think Drill really kind of like made leaps and bounds was in the following rounds. Look at second round, Stephon Diggs in the second. Honestly, I was about to draft Diggs on the turn at the 12-13 pick.
Yeah, I was surprised he fell that far. Even a Hill. I mean, you could have taken Diggs or Hill, and it would have worked out pretty much the same there.
Oh, I know. Who's it took? Javonte Williams? I don't know.
You drafted Lamb, and Lamb turned out to have a pretty good year. And that wasn't really all that bad. The Swift thing really killed you, but Drill's combination of Jefferson and Diggs is dirty.
Oh yeah, like I kind of went too much upside. It just came back to bite me in the butt. But Diggs, I was shocked to see Diggs fall to him in the second round. I was like, what is everyone thinking on this? Then another big shock to me was in the 4th round, Drill got Patrick Mahomes. To round out his big three.
Well, that was I think I even spoke up at the draft. I'm like, I just had a crush on the Bills now, and he was crushing it early in the year, and he had a good year. But I kind of had Mahomes, I had him 1A and 1B. I was like, I can't believe he fell that much further, and you won't see that happen again. think the reason he fell is because people were concerned about Tyreek Hill. Well, he proved everybody wrong. And you just don't pass up on guys like that. And people are going to learn that lesson. Mahomes going that late. It reminded me of the one good year that Magic Mike had. He got Mahomes kind of later, and we all paid for it. So
Yeah.
I don't understand why somebody would let in our league. We're so competitive. How does Patrick Mahomes the best player in football, basically around 4?
Let me just throw out some names that were taken before Patrick Mahomes in round 4. Let's
That's
see.
awful.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at Cam Akers.
Awful.
That was Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry.
He's okay, not great.
Kyle Pitts.
Awful.
Cortland Sutton.
Horrendous.
Yeah. I mean, we decided some of our illustrious members decided to take those guys instead of the great Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, let's go into round 3. Mike Williams, Elijah Mitchell. I mean, Elijah Mitchell, I did like going into the year, but I was concerned about his injury history. But I don't know if that guy put him 50 fantasy points. Yeah. He's almost as good as Jonathan Taylor. T. Higgins wasn't bad. Andrews, you're on a draft Mark Andrews over. I mean, you're going to draft tight end over Mahomes. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's stupid. Garbage. Keenan Allen really didn't do anything. J.H. Dobbins didn't really do anything. Brees Hall.
I mean, Elliott had a decent year because he got some touchdowns. I think he's done in Dallas, and he sucks. Let's just flat out call it like it is. Yeah. I think Elliott may be done in the NFL, period. He may play for another team for a year or two, but it's not going to be nothing. He's washed out.
I mean, well, that's the case with running backs. You have a short shelf life with them, and I don't know what you do with Elliott. I mean, he's going to want a bunch of money, and it's just not worth it.
There's going to be some real big fire sales in the NFL. Look at Leonard Fournette and Tampa Bay Bucks. I guarantee you, Tampa Bay's $55 million over the salary cap. That's a fire sale.
Yeah, they need to sell some assets there.
What else did Drill do though that put him over the top? I mean, he traded Kittle, and Kittle turned it on big time. He drafted Dillon, and Dillon was just like I got him in a trade. He just turned out to be like a 10 to 13 point guy here and there. What about Stevenson was actually huge for Drill.
Yeah, that was actually that was a really big pick for Drill because his running backs were honestly garbage, I thought, for most of the year. He was struggling to put together 2 decent ones.
Well, after Hall got hurt, Stevenson turned out to be 8 weeks of the year, probably top 5 running back. I mean, he's going to be a hot name going into next year. He's a stud.
Do you still think he's a New England running back? I could never trust New England running backs.
He's a freak.
I mean,
I think he's got everything, and we'll see. I mean, he's still young too. I think Harris is gone. They're going to let him go. I think Stevenson will be the man next year, and I think there'll be some. I don't think he'll slip out of round 2. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Looking at some of Drill's other picks, did he keep Tyler Algier?
Yes. He had some good games. I don't know. It's just so hard to go back now. I mean, he's got he had a good draft overall, but like I said, he wasn't getting great production out of some of these players like Kittle. He's always had a thing for Kittle. He traded him, but he was just filling in guys here and there and getting 30, 40 points out of these guys. And because of that, he can get 120 to 140 every week. And that's how he won the league.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really need to just blow up like crazy. I'm looking at his final roster.
He even had George Pickens drafted, and that receiver out of Georgia. He ended up, in my opinion, being Pittsburgh's best wide receiver.
Yeah. He dropped Pickens though. I'm looking at Drill's final roster. I don't think he kept Algier either. I mean, the pickup of Zay Jones actually really helped him a lot.
That's a laughable one. I think when time mattered, he got 30 points that week. That was hilarious.
Oh yeah, but I mean, other than that, there were kind of just random pickups here and there. I mean, he kept the big 3 intact, obviously, and he made the trade for Debo, which didn't really turn out to help him that much. It actually probably hurt him, if anything.
That was a weird one. I mean, Debo is a stud, and going into next year, I like to have him on my roster. I think they just have to figure out how to utilize him and then McCafferty and whoever comes in at running back, because Debo's a weapon. He's a Swiss Army knife. But
Yeah.
if you want to, I mean, you want to talk about some of the other guys that had good years. I mean, Drill won it and did an awesome job, but we had two guys that kind of were in the fight towards the end, Nate Dogg and LTD. LTD's been he's been a constant threat the last few years, to be honest.
Yeah, got to give LTD a lot of credit. Been a savvy drafter, knows what he's doing. If anything, I might have screwed him with the Herbert pick or the Herbert trade I made with him. But yeah, overall, like good drafter, good team manager, and I gotta tip my hat to old Nate Gate. I mean, I thought he was in it towards the end, and he just had, there was a little too much of a gap to overcome there for him.
I'm just looking at his first three picks. I mean, Eckler was awesome. I mean, Eckler didn't blow up at all last year, but he would get like 20, 25 points every week,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. But I mean, James Conner didn't have a good year last year, did he?
I don't think so. Like,
He had a few early games. I think he was injured, but I mean, Elliott was awful last year, but he would just get some garbage touchdowns. And I guess, he got lucky with Elliott to a certain extent. I'm trying to look through else. Deontay Johnson, I don't think he had a very good year. Waddle was awesome. He had some big games. Metcalf, I mean, again, Metcalf and the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Seattle Seahawks were the year's biggest surprise. Nobody saw that happening.
no, I actually purposely stayed away from the Seahawks in the draft because I thought there was no way that they could have a productive year. And I mean,
look what Al Murphy did in the middle rounds. Round 7 and 9 is really nice. It's just dirty, but you got Amari Cooper. He had, I mean, even his quarterback there late with Dak Prescott is decent, and he had T.J. Hawkinson who got traded and ended up playing pretty good. I mean,
yeah,
Hawkinson's got a lot of momentum now. He's with the Vikings. I mean, I like him a lot more there.
there's a lot of value there. I mean, yeah, Al did LTD definitely did a really nice job in the draft there. I'm looking as we keep going down, let's see, anything else kind of Mostert. I mean, he actually drafted Mostert in the 14th round, who turned out to be a pretty decent running back.
I'm trying to figure out. He had to have a break somewhere. Mostert ended up being really big, but he was getting 15, 20 points quite often, if I remember correctly. I mean, because Miami was putting up points and he stayed healthy all year. He's a baller.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Al had a nice draft, man. I got to give him credit for it. And looking at Nate Gates' draft, I mean, I know we were all kind of hating on the McCaffrey pick at 2, but he stayed healthy. He got traded. I mean, it turned out to be a pretty solid pick for him.
Yeah, Nate had a good draft, and he was just a week or two behind or a player behind. And let's look at Nate's top few picks here, because McCaffrey, I mean, God, imagine if he got traded to the 49ers at the beginning of the season, or first 2 or 3 weeks, and he had a chance to blossom there. That could have been huge and a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Fournette, I can't stand. I like Fournette in his younger years, but that dude just screams boring to me. But he would get some. He had some games where he just get a lot of trash points. Tampa Bay was horrendous.
Yeah,
Awful. Kelsey, I mean, I think we should just get Nate a Travis Kelsey jersey. I mean, Kelsey defies time. I get so sick. I don't know what it is about Kelsey. If you watch him line up, he's not even a tight end technically. He's a wide receiver, but he'll go inside, stop, and go out or run a hook route. And he's open almost every play. And he's not even running full speed. He is just Mahomes' bread and butter. And I think he's going to do it until he's 50.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't doubt Kelsey now. That's for certain. I mean, he had his best season ever, I think, this past year. And
I was floored by that. I just didn't see that happening at all. And until Father Time catches up with him, I screwed up. I passed on him. I took a wide receiver Pittman over him, and I regret that highly.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out real quick. who I think Kelsey finished. It was like some ridiculous. Let's see, season total. Like, I'm trying to see. I mean, like, I want to say Kelsey was like one of the top like non-quarterback players overall.
It's been that. I think last year he was top 3 out of all wide receivers, and I mean he's got Hall of Fame numbers. But what's really funny is I'm looking, and no disrespect for the Nate Dogg, rounds 4 through 5. It is so disgustingly awful. He's got Brandon Cooks, Allen Robinson, and Rashad Bateman. I'm surprised he even finished that high because that is awful.
Yeah,
he had to hit a home run somewhere later. We got Jalen Hurts. That was huge. Rashad Penny, he didn't even play at all this year. Singletary didn't play very well. Where's his bread and butter? Lockett, there you go. Seattle. Julio didn't do anything. Cousins was traded. Who else did he get? How did he get up there so high in points?
I have no idea. And by the way, Kelsey finished 8th overall for non-quarterback positions.
Oh, you got your big 3. He had Hurts, Kelsey, McCaffrey, and that was his big 3. And somehow I guess he just managed his roster very well and squeezed out points through the year. That's the only thing I can put together.
Yeah. Well, little surprise here. McCaffrey finished 2nd overall in points, non-quarterback points. I mean,
he looked great toward the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, the top point getters that weren't quarterbacks were Eckler, McCaffrey, Jefferson, Jacobs, Hill, Devontae Adams, Derrick Henry, Kelsey, Diggs, AJ Brown, Nick Chubb. I think that's the top 10.
I'm surprised Chubb's in there. I mean, AJ Brown surprised me a lot. He was super dirty. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge Bears fan, of course. I was watching him play. And Hurts is throwing some balls, but man, AJ Brown's a man child. I didn't know he was that good. He is. Ooh. I mean, he's a one man machine. He can take over a ball game, and it'll be interesting to see how he does in the Super Bowl because, is he going to be a superstar? It's time to come out.
Yeah. By the way, CeeDee Lamb finished 6th overall for receivers.
You were really down on him. I almost traded you for him because I could have got him for nothing. I remember at one point you were like wanting to just dump him after I think Prescott got hurt. And right. But man, I was like, I messed that one up. I should have abused Cooper there.
Yeah, that's right, dude. You should have took advantage of my weakness.
well, Coop, who got last in the league? I can't remember.
I believe that would be Sleeper, actually. He will be buying the ring, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think Sleeper goes hard. I mean, I've never won the league, but I had the same mentality. I either go all in, and I'd rather get first. Or if you're not going to get first, you're going to get last. And I think that's Sleeper's mentality. He is all about going hard, fast. He's always got some different draft scenario and technique. I don't know what he's looking at. I would like to know what Sleeper's looking at on draft day because he's always got a different angle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like his first round pick, I think it was Najee Harris.
That was awful, actually. That bit him in the butt.
Oh, that turned out to be garbage, but like, especially where he took him. But at the time, I didn't think it was a bad a pick. I mean, I thought he was going to be. He had potential top five potential.
Well, I didn't like it because they had Mitch Trubisky and second-year running backs, and if you're a Bears fan, they just load the box. I mean, I had some of the Sleeper's picks in my other leagues. Like, let's see here. I mean, I had Kamara last year, but I had Kyle Pitts, and he was a cancer, and I had him in my other – I'm only in 2 leagues, but I had Kyle Pitts. I cut him week 4. I just cut him. And the Sleeper should have traded him or cut him a long time ago. When these big names, you're always hoping for these guys to blow up, but I don't think Kyle Pitts' problem was his talent level. I think it's the talent around him and coaching and the quarterback. Where else did Kyle Murray? He didn't have a very good year. The Cardinals stunk.
Yeah. By the way, Kyle Pitts.
Go
Kyle
ahead.
Pitts finished outside the top 25 of tight ends.
Oh, he was. I remember having my other team, like he was averaging, like even when he was healthy, like a catch or two a game for like 10 yards. It was horrendous.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and then, I mean, Chris Godwin, he didn't even play much at all during the course of the year. Uh, could Kareem Hunt, one of Sleeper's favorites? I mean, he's a good running back, a good player. He had a bad year. Hopkins, did he even do much when he came back?
Uh, I think he actually, I mean, for a little bit, I thought it was like Hopkins and Murray were kind of connecting, but it just wasn't enough. Like, I think it was only for a few weeks that was happening. But like before, like Murray went down, Murray finished. Was looking 20th, the 20th overall quarterback.
Yeesh, that's awful. And
Yeah.
considering the talent level, he drafted some really interesting players later. I mean, Sleeper is always going after some jazz and some noise, and he did with Tony, and he's going to do that with the Chiefs. I think Tony would be a player to watch out for next year. I don't know what kind of contract he's under, but I think the Chiefs have him next year. I would like to have Tony in my roster with the Kansas City Chiefs next year. You write that down because he is a big playmaker. His only problem is, can he stay healthy? And if they get him healthy, he could be a beast. But again, he drafted Trey Lance. That is definitely a huge sleeper pick. And the most interesting thing I see on here is he drafted Jamal Williams. Didn't he just goof that one up though?
I believe
He,
so.
he traded him to Baxter to Oracle.
Oh, that is right. That is right. He traded him to Oracle for who was that? He traded him
I
for.
don't know, but he lost.
Yeah, that was the
Well,
worst.
he had 50 touchdowns last year, right?
Oh, it was like,
Every
he
week.
took them all from Swift. It was like the biggest pain point for me. Every time Jamal Williams scored, I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Like, God, it
I
was
mean,
terrible.
it's just it shows you how tight our league is. I'm looking at Sleeper's roster, and he's got some big names, some guys later who I mean, I think the Jamal Williams single handedly got him last place because if he was starting him all year long, it probably would have kept him in the playoffs. Just that one player. But looking at
Yeah.
his draft, it didn't look like he has the worst team, but it takes management and takes some injuries and a trade or two, and then all of a sudden you look awful. I've been there.
Yeah. I was kind of like looking at overall players, like where they're ranking. I mean, everyone's kind of got like at least one or two players that are up in the top 10, whether it's top 10 running backs, top 10 tight ends or receivers. And I just don't see Sleeper's name at all in any of that. So,
Let me reiterate. I would love to get rid of the tight end position next year and make that a super flex.
oh, dude, it's so garbage. I mean, like
I hate
literally
it.
there's literally one tight end right now that's worth having, and that's it. I mean,
Kelsey. I mean, like honestly, I don't think we would even draft 5 or 6 tight ends if we open that up.
I mean, looking
And
at
I'm just saying, open it up just for wide receivers because how many teams have 4 wide receiver sets? They don't even use tight ends that much. They do their blocking. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, it just makes it's more realistic and makes far more sense. I'm looking at Kelsey's final points. His final point total was 302 points. I'll just let you take a guess at what the next tight end was.
I'm guessing like 180.
You were close. 201.
And that was what Andrews. Who was it?
It was Hawkinson.
Oh, so Hawkinson. I mean, he did turn it on late, and he's going to be a big name next year. But again, you guys can have at Hawkinson around 3 or 4. Some dummies on the draft him around 3 or 4. Go ahead.
Oh, I know. I mean, just to compare.
We got to have a tight end. But Gatos doesn't like scoring. He doesn't like points. He wants tradition.
Yeah, I mean, and just to put it in perspective, like the let's see, it looks like the 20th or the 19th receiver overall had the same amount of points as the second tight end.
It's just, I mean, it's handicapping our league and our ability to really have some high scoring and great matchups, and it does suck. And,
it's like a no-brainer. It's I don't even know why we're having this discussion. We should just be doing this.
It's over and over again. It's like a broken record. I mean, when Nate Dogg won the playoffs, which was a pretty tight one last week, he won against our champion Drill too. So that was an epic finish. And like we kind of talked about this whole Hamlin debacle, what a pain in the ass. And
Oh man.
my logic on it, we had our board and stuff and our wild card with Drill, but I mean, what can you do about it? Honestly, the way I thought it should have ended, it's fantasy football, but when our season ends, and there's you're taking the power out of everybody's hands, and we can't be generating and making up bullshit rules. I think when things like that happen, it's like an act of God. There's no insurance policy in our league, so people need to suck it up and go with it.
No, I agree. It certainly sucked what happened to Hamlin. Never want to see that to happen to any player, but like the game ended and it just wasn't replayed. I interpreted it as more. If a player got injured, like say your tight end got injured, like in the first quarter, does that mean? Yeah, it happens.
The game started. The game took place, and we've all gambled before.
Yeah.
If there's money down and you put money down on Vegas, guess what happens to that money? It's played.
Yeah, it's done.
And we need to treat our fantasy football league that way. It's not Vegas, but it's money in there. If a game started, you deal with the repercussions.
Yeah, it's tough. It was definitely like a unique situation, but at the same time, the game started, players played. I was like, they didn't finish the game. That sucks, but like just end it. And
we're gonna have to vote on this at the end of the year because it's stupid. It'll probably never happen again. Hopefully, it never happens again. I did hear Hamlin's doing very well. Honestly, like I'd be a little bit bothered. I hear he's going to try to come back and maybe play football again, but that does bother me a little bit if he did come back because Jesus Christ, really.
Well, that's I think that'll be a personal decision by him. I don't know if I could
I would be scared to death to sign him as a GM because your life and your health is everything. He almost died, and I don't even know how to put that into words. The guy had a heart attack in the field, and they never really said anything about that. Why he had the heart attack? Did he? They never really got into the breakdown of why or how it happened. There had to be something, I would think. I don't know.
I thought I understood, and obviously we're not doctors, so disclaimer. But I thought it was like something like it was the freakiest thing ever. Like the way he got hit at the time he got hit, the way his heart was beating, like at the time, like lightning in a bottle, in a sense.
Honestly, dude, I was thinking about that, and I could hear a little bit of that. But these kids are on so much stuff nowadays. These Monster Energy drinks, that they were taking before the games to get jacked up, and I think some of that played a factor. But I'm just glad the guy's doing okay, and hopefully the sports world gets a little bit smarter about how they prepare, and maybe they start putting some better uniforms or gear together.
Maybe. But before we go, man, let's. I think there is a big game this week, from what I hear. 2 teams still left playing.
Oh, you're talking about the Pro Bowl, right?
Yeah, flag football, baby. Who you got?
How bad was that? If anybody tuned into that and watched it, it's probably Gerald.
Oh man, I wouldn't take that line down.
That's a good time. So yeah, we got the Super Bowl. I think this is one of the best Super Bowls in the last few years. I think it's kind of a matchup where you have 2 teams that are completely opposite of each other. The Eagles are very, very physical, and the Kansas City Chiefs are a little bit older, more finesse, and they're very experienced. So it's kind of hot and cold. I just don't know where this is going to go. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I do like the Eagles more, but I hate the Eagles. I think they are the most obnoxious franchise city in all sports. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard for me to pull for them, but I do think they're better. But even if they are better, I do think Mahomes has that capability of taking things over. You could put it on his shoulders, even if he's got a bad ankle. and he's going to be 2 weeks recovered. I think he'll be just fine. They're getting the running back. We talked about that, Hilaire. And I think Pashenko has turned out to be a weapon. And I think Tony is going to be a weapon. Even with Hardman out, I think the Chiefs are going to put up some points. But I would be surprised to see this game turn ugly. I really would. I think it's going to be a great game.
I agree. I think it'll be a good game. Actually, I'm liking the Eagles in this. I mean, for a lot of the same reasons you mentioned. They're going to be a physical team. They're going to run the ball. You know, I'm assuming like, you know, the Eagles to me are limping in a little bit. I know maybe Mahomes' ankle might be better, but like, you know, you're missing McCole Hardman. That was a big play guy, and I think a player like that can really make a, you know, big difference in a game like this, especially when like the Eagles are going to be ball control a little bit more. I mean, you're
It
right.
says right now that Philly's favored by 1.5. Did you know that?
Did not, but yeah, I mean, I think they are. I mean, I think overall they have a better team, but the best player on the field is going to be Mahomes. I mean, he's going to. Who knows what he can do? I mean,
Well, if you look at the whole year, the Eagles had a great year. They beat a lot of people up this year. The Kansas City Chiefs were nasty, and the AFC is a better division. It's just hard. I think I got the Chiefs by 3, but I think if the game was to turn ugly, I think it'd be more of. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know why I feel this way. I mean, even though I'm taking Kansas City, I'm just taking Kansas City because I trust them more. But the Eagles have this kind of freakish ability, like because they're so physical and outgoing. They can kind of physically run them over. You saw that with some teams in the past, and I wonder if this game could get ugly. It kind of makes you wonder.
I'm not sure, but I will say this: if it comes down to the end, if it comes down to the end and the Chiefs have the ball, I'm obviously feeling very confident in the Chiefs just because of Mahomes. But reverse that, like if Eagles are behind and they need a big drive from Hurts, I just don't think Hurts has got that ability.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what the bet slips are like, parlays and such of players. It'd be really interesting if like Philadelphia got up by 14 and you could start placing bets. I mean, it's going to be very interesting. Get your popcorn ready.
That's right. Well, Grizz, I'm gonna have to call this pod. It's been great talking with you and hanging out.
Yeah, man. Rock and roll. It'll be springtime here soon. We got to get Nate Dogg on, and sometime sooner or later, it'd be a good to, I think, to do another recap on the year. And I'd like to talk about in our next show, possibly doing some future fantasy projections.
I mean, there's so much to talk about in the off season. That's when magic
we
happens.
do have the NFL draft, so Bears fans are getting their the combine is 3 weeks away, free agency is 3 weeks away, and the NFL draft is not far away. So even though the Super Bowl is around the corner, we still have a lot of football on the horizon, fellas.
That is correct, sir. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure, and just to remind all of our viewers, we're right and you're wrong.
All right, guys. Adios.